Hello again, welcome back to the shop. Today I'm going to be working in Millmage, creating a keyhole slot. Millmage does not have a keyhole operation, so let's see how we can get around that and do keyholes in Millmage. Well, we got a mess in the workshop today, but somebody had a question about how to use a keyhole slot in Millmage. I just have this jig set up for mine. I always keep an extra palm router because you never know when one might burn up. But I keep this one right here, and I keep this one on a jig just for keyhole slots. And we'll take a look at this, and we'll see how to set this up in Millmage. Okay, first things first, we need to take a look at our bit. We need to look at the geometry of our bit. You can see I do have a cutting edge on top. So for this bit, it is safe to plunge straight down because that's what we're going to want to do. And we need to see how long the cutting edge is. We need to see how long the flutes are. So I'm just going to measure that with a pair of calipers real quick. I'm going to try to do this one-handed on camera, but I'm going to verify it and make sure it's right off camera because it's hard to see in the... What I'm measuring is I'm measuring the flat portion on the bottom to the end of the cutting flute up the shank. And I'm looking at a 0.35 inch, a 0.35 inch cutting depth. I did come in a little shallow. If I had this in a clamp, it'd be a whole lot better. I could have put it in my vise. There we go. You can see we can go up to a 0.36 inch cutting depth. All right, we'll remember that. If you look at this real carefully, I think 0.3 inches will be sufficient. I was going to a 1/4 inch, but that's 0.17 inch just for that portion. So if we go up a little bit to 0.26, anywhere between 0.26 and 0.3, I wouldn't go any deeper than 0.3, and I wouldn't go any shallower than 0.26 inches on the depth on this thing. But you want a little bit of room in there to hold the head of a screw too, whatever you're going to hang this on when you make this keyhole slot. Let's look at doing 2 keyhole slots. So first thing I'm going to do is click on the pencil tool. I'm going to come up here somewhere near the top. We can move the position later, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to click one time, and I'm going to pull the mouse over however long I think it needs to be. We can also change those dimensions here in a bit, but I'm going to hold the shift key. I'm going to lock it in a 90-degree orientation. I'm going to click again to set another point, and we still got this tail here. I'm going to bring that back, holding the shift key to lock it in place, and I'm going to click again right where I started from. That's all it's going to take. Now you can see we have a double line here. I can drag it around, put it wherever I need it. This particular line is almost 2 1/4 inches. Let's make it 2 1/4, 2.25 inches. And if you wanted to, all you had to do is hit Control and D, hold your shift, and drag it over. They don't have to be precisely placed because they are long enough to where you can slide the piece back and forth across the nails to get them. But you want it very close. One thing you could do is draw you a rectangle and align that to the edge, align that to the left edge, drag it out to where it meets the start point of your keyhole slot. Once you have it from the edge of your material to the edge of the keyhole slot, all you have to do is align it to the right side. Grab your keyhole vector, holding your shift, and drag it and butt it against your shape there, your rectangle. And get rid of that rectangle. Now they are perfectly placed. Now that is how you do 2 keyhole slots. Now, the way we're going to do the toolpath for these, with both of these selected, we're going to create a new operation. I'm going to do a profile cut. we want this final depth to be anywhere between 0.26 and 0.3 inches deep. I'm just going to do 0.27, and we want it done in one pass, so 0.27 on the entry type. We do not want a zigzag. I want a plunge. The ramp angle, I want it to be a 0, and we're going to stay along the line. Of course, we're going to do 80 inches a minute. I want to do a 30 ramp, 30 feet. It's not ramping anyway, but spindle don't matter. I don't have a spindle, but it'd probably be around 13 to 19,000. Plunge, I'll do 30 on the plunge. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to make sure that is assigned to these two. But when we hit preview, you're going to notice we don't see anything. We're going to get an error message. There are no shapes assigned to the operations that are set to be output. So we're not entirely sure why we get that, but there is a workaround. I'm just going to click this square right here. I'm just going to draw a square inside of my material. And with that square, did that square do anything? No, it didn't. Let's perform a new operation on this square. New operations, pocket. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to do a 1/2 inch deep. I'm going to do a 1/4 inch per pass. I'm going to hit OK. Now you see we have a pocket operation. So if I did a preview, you can see it cut out my keyhole, but then it cut the pocket out, so my keyhole's gone. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take that last pocket I made. I'm just going to turn that off. We're not going to output that. So when I hit my display, there's my 2 keyhole slots. Now one thing to remember, we set this up with the beast bit. So it's not going to look like a keyhole slot. But when we run this, we're going to put a keyhole bit in the router, so it will look like a keyhole slot. So just because it doesn't look like a keyhole slot right there, does not mean you did anything wrong. But that is what we're looking for. All right, we can save that and send it to the router, and that's how we'll have our keyholes. So this was just a little piece of scrap wood that I've been doing some practicing in, and there's keyhole slots down in Millmage. There's no keyhole slot operation in Millmage. Just use a double vector and assign it using a standard 1/4 inch end mill profile, but load your keyhole slot bit in there. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.